All right, I thought I actually hit record and I didn't. It's crazy. But anyway, so I'm doing this video, drinking my porter that I got from the brewery. When Noelle's sister was here, she went to a brewery. She wanted to get a shirt for her husband. And I thought, well, heck, if you're getting a shirt for your husband, I might as well just go and see what they got. And I got a growler, and it was a porter. It's amazing. But anyway, she ended up not getting a shirt from there. She went someplace else, but I still got my beer, and I'm happy about that. Got this question, and someone said, "Hey, Hersh, I trust you. I feel that you have great insight, and you always seem to be very honest." There's always been this talk, or there has been this talk about what is a high value man. Excuse me. What is your take on that? Do you consider yourself a high value man as well? And that was it, right? Um, the in the subject line it says high value man, and it put an income amount, right, as a question mark. They're like, well, what does that mean? You hear a lot of this recently, and I know where they're getting it from, but let me tell you the reason why. It depends, right? People are confusing high value from high earner. So there's a difference. And the reason why I say this is because I know people who build shopping malls. I know a man in New Mexico who literally is who bought a shopping mall, a big old mall, and he's rebuilding the whole thing, high rises and everything. He's built things all over in Albuquerque, and people who are watching this probably know who I'm talking about. He's originally from Chicago. I know him pretty well. He was even going to help finance a project that the city and I were talking about back in the day to help it. And he doesn't dress like a high value man, but he is a high earner. He makes millions of dollars a year, millions. He owns buildings and we're talking very nice buildings all over Albuquerque. Very wealthy man, very, very wealthy. And he's not the only one. I know of others. I know of people here even who they look like they're darn near homeless, but they got a pocket full. They own like every apartment building you can think of. The McMenamins. I don't know them, but if you look at the McMenamins, you'd be like, ugh, they look like ZZ Top. No offense. But they got plenty of money, and they're high earners. These are people who, I mean, if you're from this area, I don't even have to explain it. McMenamins is big, right? They're big. So high earner is completely different. Now, I'm not going to give exact details, but I'm not in the top 5. I'm not the top 10. I'm like top 8, right? If you look at everything, probably top 8. And there's a difference between high value and high earner. And sometimes people want to conflate the two and say, if you are a high value person, that means that you are a high earner. That's not always true. You can be making $40,000, $50,000 a year and be a high valued person. Because high value is talking about your traits. I don't know if I should okay, Noel got it. I was getting a call in from the studio. But high value is talking more about your traits. The way that society views you because of how you are, how you exist, how you carry yourself. That's what that means. And so I've heard of this a long time ago, going into, business school and stuff like that. This was a term that was kind of thrown around because they're looking at people who one day hopefully will have a business and whatever. And they want you to present yourself in a way that doesn't bring any sort of negativity to you and your business, because it's just going to hurt you, right? So I pulled this thing up because I can't find the thing from a long time ago when I was in college. It probably didn't exist anymore. But I pulled something up that talks about what is a high value person, because you see, I don't like that term, by the way, because it's to me it sounds like putting a dollar amount on a person. But I would say a highly respectable person, right? And so part of it is self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management. When I tell young Black men to basically be selfish, I'm talking about be good to yourself. Be good to yourself and staying out of controversy. Be good to yourself by not having kids before you're married and ready. And people may say that's old-timey to say get married, but it's true. Be selfish in getting your education, whether it's trade school, college, or whatever. Get your passport, learn, work on yourself, be, healthy, exercise, be careful with what you drink. Bad example. All that, because it's very important. Now, there was a point in time back in my gallivanting days that I didn't just wear t-shirts and sandals or slides all day like I do now. There was a time back in the day where I was a little more clean cut. You'll see some of them. See, my hair's all, it's all, look at that. But you can go back in some of the earlier photos I had prior to Noelle and right in the early stages of Noelle, where I carried myself completely different. A lot more clean cut and stuff. But now I'm married for well over a decade. It's like whatever. Now I can still clean up really well when I need to, and there's meetings or something like that. But I'm not trying to impress anybody anymore. But what it talks about is he's emotionally intelligent. And it is self-awareness, one's own emotions, drives personality, passion, self-management, deferring pleasure, staying power, grit, social awareness, other people's emotions and social dynamics, relationship management, building and managing positive relationships. Those are things that I pretty much talk about on this channel. Some people don't like it because I do talk about social inequity. It's important. I'm not someone who's suffering from gentrification in the city, right? But I understand there's other people that do. And it's important that you recognize those types of things and try to find ways to help other people. I'm not in the situation that people are in Haiti are in, with high unemployment and, just bad healthcare system and all of that. But I feel like it's important for me to go and try to help when I can, to try to help improve people's lives, right? I also try to be positive. I don't want this channel to be all about negative stuff. So I want to make sure that, I'm not on here like a lot of channels and just degrade people. It's just not what I do. All of these are what technically is a high valued person or man, right? And so it's about self-awareness, self-management, things like that. And it talks about low quality men are those who chase the immediate high of booze and drugs without any regard for tomorrow or themselves. High achievers instead work their way to the top by deferring pleasure and doing what needs to be done. And I'm not knocking anybody, but one of the reasons why I didn't just have kids with any and everybody was because I knew that I wanted to have a certain position in life, and that I wouldn't be able to necessarily do that the way I wanted to if I had kids all over the place. And I wouldn't be able to give those kids what they need, or the person that I would have kids with wouldn't be able to give them necessarily what they need. So to me, I was very, very cautious with the people. I may have been out there and doing all types of stuff, but I was very cautious to protect myself. I didn't want it to be a situation, or in other people too. I didn't want it to be a situation where someone could hold something over my head, or kids were saying 20 years later, where were you in my life? I don't want to have to deal with that or go to court and fighting somebody over trying to see your kids and all that. I feel for people who have to go through that, but I made sure that I did not do that. There were a lot of temptations. There were a lot of women who really and truly were very, very tempting in every aspect. And there were times when I'm like, no, I'm not prepared, meaning I'll show you my dude wipes. So, I mean, I still have some of the high value stuff I do, right? Pretend this is not a dude wipe, but something else that you rip and use, right? If I didn't have that, it was a no-go for me. It's like, no. I don't care how hot the chick looked. It's like, no. And there's a reason for that, because I didn't want to be caught up in that situation. Social awareness and relationship management. So it's like finding time with people who really and truly are worth your time. I talk about that. Be with people who are worth your time. Don't just be with anybody. Don't just hang around anybody. Don't be around negative energy. That's a reason why I talk about, I'm not here to basically try to change people who hate me. There's no point in that. I go where I'm celebrated. I don't go where I'm tolerated or not even wanted. I go where I'm celebrated. So this is a part of that. It's basically, forming the right relationships to keep yourself in the proper balance, and also making sure that you are aware of what's going on. Social awareness, build a positive network, all those types of things. It's important. It helps me now. There's things coming up now, opportunities that somebody's like, hey, would you be interested in this? Because they know that Noel and I are positive people, try to be, right? He has a purpose. So that could be a lot of different things, but these are tangible things. Not saying one day I'm going to be president. These are things that are really tangible, like leadership qualities. Like, what is it that you're going to do? And set goals and reach those goals and keep expanding, right? So you understand your purpose. You understand when you are too focused. Sometimes you put too much pressure on yourself. You have to know how to regulate that. I've done that before, where I've actually bit off more than what I could chew. I could chew it, but it's like, you know what I'm saying? So you have to be able to understand, like, hey, I don't want to take away from family time with my own goals and career moves. I got to make sure that I make time for family. One of the reasons why I got rid of real estate stuff was because of that. Then it's in a completely different state. It's like it takes away from everybody. He takes care of himself. Driven men with purpose look at themselves as if they are machines, right? So high quality men always eat well, exercise, keep learning, and investing in themselves. I don't do the first two. I definitely do the last one, right? I used to do all three. It says everyone judges the book from its cover, so you also need to take care of that book cover. And I did, right? He has high self-esteem. Same here. He generates his own self-esteem. Something that Noelle wishes she could do that I'm able to do all the time is like, when things are bad, I'm able to figure out a way to be happy. I'm not saying I'm happy all the time, but when things seem difficult, I'm like, I figured it out. And I typically do. He's assertive versus being passive. I speak up for my own rights without undermining others. I expect and demand fair treatment while treating others respectfully. Seek power while respecting others' right to self-determination. That right there bothers a lot of people who are managers and things like that of companies. Because if they find someone who's assertive and they speak up for themselves and they do all this other, sometimes people don't like that. They want someone who's more passive, who's too afraid to speak and enforces their own boundaries and puts themselves in a weak position. But not only do they put themselves in a weak position at work, they put themselves in a weak position in life. So, you have to, and then also, you don't want to be the aggressive person that talks about this, where you take advantage of others' lack of power and assertiveness, right? He hides behind the facade of honesty and getting things done, but it's just a cover up for bullying, right? There's a lot of people who are very aggressive, but they're just as bad as the passive person, right? It's not very effective. Being very assertive is really important. Knowing your vulnerability. That's a very high trait. You're genuine, you're honest, you're uplifting. So I talk about the things that I could do better. Oh, I don't know what she's talking about. But I talk about the things that, I'm vulnerable about. I don't know. She's talking about something. So, and it goes through and it talks about different stuff. He knows power dynamics, right? And it goes through there. The high quality man is not a too nice guy, afraid of standing up for himself. Also, when someone crosses his boundaries, he would let them know he's not cool with it, and that he has to insist on the limits he thinks are fair. Again, I draw a line in the sand and I say, you know what? There's certain things that I just don't tolerate. Bigotry, racism, all of that's one of them. And you can be a bigot and be any race. You can be a black person and be bigoted to another black person. I don't tolerate that. If people are not accepting of other people, their lives, their lifestyle, whatever they have, I don't have time for that. Whether I agree or disagree with how people may live their life, I don't have time for people to sit there and literally just talk down about those people or judge them. Okay. I'm getting calls left and right, man. He's honest to his own value system. So there's no shortage of people telling men how to behave these days. That's facts. Religions, women, mom and dad, MGTOW, red pill, this or that author. High value men listen attentively to all, but ultimately they build their own value system and their own moral compass. That's what they stick to. I mean, again, when people say, what are you? Are you, somebody was saying, what do you think about SYSBM or MGTOW or this or that? And I'm like, all of those things, I mean, that's cool if, whatever. I don't have an issue with anybody, but I go my own way. I create my own lane. There's certain things I pull and pluck from different areas. I don't have to agree with everybody, but there are certain things that I pull and pluck. One thing I will say is a lot of high-valued men are very much loners, because not that you can't get along with people, but it's definitely you kind of set your own tone. You know what I'm saying? It is. And you can have people that kind of roll in your same orbit, but it's not if you got like 40, 50 friends, that's not the same thing. You have a very small scope of people that you deal with. There are different value systems that can make a man high value. However, there are a few constraints. Alpha male is different. You can be a piece of crap and be an alpha male, but you can't be a piece of crap and be a high valued man. That's very true. This little piece of hair now that I pointed out was bugging me. That's very true. People want to say I'm an alpha male because they think that means something. But again, if you are something, you don't talk about it. I don't, there are people I know, even in my family, who are very wealthy, and they never talk about that. It's like, nah, we don't talk about that. You just see it. Right? You just see that they are. There's people I know who, are very much just, manly dudes, and they don't talk about man, they just do it. You know what I mean? Like building cabins just out in the woods with nothing but a axe and string and crap. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's an alpha male. There's different versions of what it is. But in order to be a high value man, you can't be a crappy, nasty person. You see what I'm saying? For example, high quality men don't get into relationships if they want to sleep around. They don't promise endless love if they don't plan to stick around. If they promise something, they will do it their best to make it happen. And if they get into a relationship and promise monogamy, they will stick with it and demand the same back. Facts. There are people, though, who are in open relationships, or they're in relationships where maybe a spouse doesn't care, and that's different. But this is very true, is that, the framework of a relationship. When I was out there trying to figure out what I wanted, and I took that time to figure out what I wanted in a relationship, this was what I was trying to figure out, the type of person I wanted to be with, etc. The pretty chick was the one that I could get. I would be like, how did that happen? They were very pretty. But at the end of the day, it wasn't really what I wanted, because I found that every single one of them, there was something that just didn't make it conducive to having a long-term relationship. And it was the ones I was choosing, because there's a lot of beautiful, beautiful women who are perfect partners. But the ones that I were choosing, it just wouldn't, it didn't make sense. It just didn't make sense for me. He has a growth mindset. So they're talking about fixed mindset. People who believe their qualities are set at birth and carved in stone. You are who you are. There isn't much you can do about it. And then there are those with a growth mindset that believe you can learn and grow. And I tell people there's a lot of things that I don't know. I mean, on Discord, which please join down in the description box below, you have people that school me all day long. I'm like, dang, I didn't know that. Like, well, dang. You know what I mean? Like, that happens all the time, as opposed to, no, I know everything. And I don't gel well with people who do that. There was a guy that was on our Discord for a while who was like that. Very fixed mindset. He knew everything. It was either his way or no way. And I said, I refuse to ever have a conversation with you in terms of with any substance to it. Because you can't have a conversation with you. You're always right. So that happens. But it's like, I don't have a problem with telling people that. Like, no interest. And it's the same thing whether it's man or a woman. When there's a woman who's very argumentative and very like blah, 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 or whatever, not interested in having a conversation. Or someone who can't admit their faults or can't admit they're wrong, can't accept responsibilities, not interested. I was talking on Facebook about how there was something, and this one chick disagreed, and she unfriended me, and I'm like, that's good. I want you to unfriend me, because if you cannot have this conversation of where women need to take responsibility for certain things just like men do, and you don't think that there's any room for growth, then you definitely can't be in my orbit. Even on social media, which, trust me, our social media has everybody on it, right? But you can't even get there because you can't even accept responsibility. And one of the other things it talks about, he takes responsibility, right? The locus of control is the degree to which people believe that they have or don't have control over their life. So they talk about the internal locus of control. There are two types of locus of control, internal and external. Internal locus of control means you believe you are in control of your life. External locus of control means you believe life events determine the course of your life and you don't have any control over them. And so for me, I'm not that type of, everything in society is against me. And everything in society is holding me back. And everything in society is doing me dirty. And everything, I don't believe that. I believe that there are systems in place, obviously, that holds people back. Absolutely. But typically it's individuals who I treat everybody with a question mark. There are individuals that I sit and have to really assess. And I don't really look at what race they are, because there's some black folks you can't trust either. But I look and see what they bring to the table and what they're talking about. And then I'm like, okay, cool. Because if I just basically allow anybody into my orbit and just be like, cool, then any and everything can happen to you. So I'm very, very cautious of that. So I take responsibility for everything in my life, the good, the bad, the crazy, the silly, the fun, and the success. I take responsibility for all those things, right? So it goes through and talks about that. It says balance and high quality men, it talks about all this other stuff. But literally, this is the reason why I tell young black men, especially, the things that I do. Invest in you. Look at yourself and invest in you. Don't worry about women and dating and, all of that. Worry about you. You see what I'm saying? Don't look for someone to be a leader or any of that, right? Look at yourself as a leader. Be a leader. You could be the best leader in the world. But you need to lead yourself. You need to find solutions that work for you. It's never too late. The earlier you start, the better, but it's never too late. Invest in yourself. Buy stock, buy land, get a passport. Own your own business if you can. Go to school. Some people will clown that. You have, especially in the black community, unfortunately, you still have black people, and some are old as hell, still clowning black people who go to college and say that you'll see memes, well, you can still go to college and be an idiot. I'd rather go to college and be an idiot than someone who didn't even try, to be honest with you. And when you go and you try to get a job and they see a college grad, they're going to look at that and say, you know what? Yeah, you may be an idiot and be mean or whatever, and you may be whatever. I'm not saying college makes you a great person, but graduating college also teaches, if you did it ethically. Graduating college basically means that a person went through and took things, classes that probably didn't pertain to them. They took those classes and they were able to learn from them and hopefully grow from them. Being able to work with others, being able to have different opposing views and be able to work with that and live with that and deal with that. Dealing with, like complex issues, time management. There's a whole range of things that college exposes you to. And if you're able to graduate on top of all the hard courses and just the social dynamics of college, then a lot of employers like that because they're thinking, okay, I'm dealing with a more well-rounded person. Maybe not always, but typically that's the gist of it, is that someone is well-rounded. Now, some people will say, I'm well-rounded and I didn't go to college. Cool. That's great. But specifically to young black men who are 16, 17, 18, go to college. Go to college. You want to be a high-valued man? It's not about how much money you got. Again, I'm in the top 8. It's not about how much money you got. I got a few little bucks. It's not about that. It's about you investing in you and being the best you that you can be. I've always consistently said that. I always will say that. It's about showing up and being there and being a part of everything. Yeah, does it also mean you should dress up and be nice and all that? You got your stuff done. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But it's not only just about looking nice, because you can throw a dress and everything on a pig and it's still a pig. Right? I mean, you can throw a suit on a jackass and it's still a jackass. You can do whatever. It ain't going to change anything. But dressing nice and looking nice and being nice is what I'm aiming for, right? That's what you should always strive for and always try to do better and better and better and not look down on people. I shake hands with people who have $1 million and people who have no dollars. I give the same amount of respect to the person that's homeless and the person that lives in a $3 million house, because they're human beings. At the end of the day, it's about being a leader. And that is what attracts people. You don't go out, a high-valued man doesn't chase after women. Women come to you. I mean, that's a fact. You don't have to chase. Women come to you. And there may be some women that feel like you should come to me. Okay, cool. And at that point, you can make that determination if you want to do it. But typically, women come to you. Most of the relationships I've ever been in, people come to me. Even Noelle, she came to me. I didn't go searching and looking. There were times when I did. Don't get me wrong. I was hunting. Don't get me wrong. But most of the time, women come to me. White, Asian, black, Hispanic, whatever. They came to me. Native, they came to me. So because the way you carry yourself as a high-value man, people are attracted to that. It's the same thing with positive, nice women. People are attracted to that. You can be super pretty or you can be ugly. Right? And you can be ugly as a person, but still look gorgeous on the outside. You see what I'm saying? It's about how you carry yourself at the end of the day. It's not how much you've achieved as far as I got a PhD. Nobody cares. But what they care about is how you treat other people and how you view other people and how do you carry yourself. Do you accept responsibility? Anyhow, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you join the Discord down in the description box below. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, I will see you. Take care.